Attention, you are about to hear the captivating voice of an icon in the movie industry. You have heard him and seen him in performances in over 140 films. He's met and influenced many world leaders, and now he's about to tell you how to unite the America he loves.
That job's filled.
Unique.
Unique.
Brilliant.
Brilliant.
And unpredictable.
Unpredictable.
Robert Davi is a Renaissance man who writes, directs, sings, and does it all with excellence.
Yes, okay, we're all very impressed, but let's get on with it now.
Robert Davi believes he should use his voice to both repay and help unite America, the America that made his dreams come true.
No more Mr. Nice Guy.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is The Robert Davi Show.
Good day, my dear friends. So, as you know, I've been talking about certain things for the last several weeks, or the last several days. One being the wonderful documentary and the Muhammad Ali Ken Burns documentary, and I've been talking about this because it's so exquisite in terms of explaining the transformation of Muhammad Ali, the courage of Muhammad Ali, the epic, mythical quality of Muhammad Ali, and the struggle of our black brothers and sisters, and how it frames the reference. And it also references how Ali, toward the end, has all of a sudden, where the Nation of Islam and Elijah Muhammad was talking about separation, and Malcolm X, after he had gone to Mecca and to Hajj, he came back and he understood that it's about unification, it's about love, not about separation, and the differences lied there. And how the Black Liberation Movement and how Bernadette Dawn and Bill Ayers used that to wedge further racism in America, and how it continues on till today. There are many subtle issues that deal with this. A lot of it has to do with the Democratic Party propagating this kind of thing to separate us by race and to capture the black community. But my question is, that last moment of Muhammad Ali lighting that torch, when there was a unification of some sort, because he then realized it is about love, it's not about separation. And even in his life, even though he was with the Nation of Islam, he was not, he was accepting of people, he was giving of people of himself. He was like a pope. You know, when you see a pope go to the people that believe in him, he had that kind of charismatic thing, especially in Africa and to the black communities and to a lot of the white people. But somebody that was there at the lighting of the torch, that has a reference point of this whole thing, because I think until we get this right, how do we get unified? How do we stop the race baiting, the critical race theory, and I'm all for, as you've heard about before, I'm all for Parents United for Education. I'm all for us understanding what happened at Lake George, in Lake Lanier, and other incidents, history that's being sometimes, pushed aside. They say whitewashed, but, we're so sensitive to language now. But history that's been pushed aside and maybe not really delved into and expressed. But what critical race theory and what 1619 does is distort the truth, not leading us to unification, but to more separation and anger amongst those fringe groups. And that's what's dangerous, because when the fringe groups pull from either side, that's what rips the country apart. And I blame AOC and Ilhan Omar and Nancy Pelosi and the Democratic Party on one side, and then there's elements on the right on the other side. And the Maxine Waters, and what brought this to light in a way was the sad aspect of the Haitians, and how different people will talk about what happened with these Haitians coming into America. Now, there's a different side of that story. And I was talking to my good friend, Bruce LeVell, businessman out of Atlanta, family man, great person, conservative, and he has a whole other point of view on this issue, and especially the horses with the reins and all of that stuff. As I talked about the other day, I mentioned it briefly, that from what I saw, a horse can get spooked in water and everything else, and they were trying to herd people away from the horse kicking them or falling on them or who knows what. That could have been part of their justification. But the way Maxine Waters framed it was cowboys came. Cowboys came. Now, that for the black community is a button. As Bruce LeVell, I will have him explain it to you because he lived it. His grandparents lived it, told him about it. And I don't want to, from my Sicilian-Italian experience, speak for the black man, but I know from my own immigrant grandparents and how the Italian community was treated at a certain point by, the blue bloods, that there's a thing. But, you see, I think it's a bigger issue. The blue collar of America, that's what's being affected. That's what's being attacked by the left. The blue collar, the workers, the middle class. See, the fringe on the left, on the right, pull apart that middle class like taffy till it just dissipates. And that's what they're doing. They're pulling us apart till the middle class is so thinned out and so worn out, and then they can collapse. And once that void happens, you'll have world communism, Marxism. That's what Bill Ayers wanted with Bernadette Dorn. That was their sole function. White fighting force, black liberation movement, to bring down America and establish world communism. That's on there. That was their Constitution page. And you hear so many people talk about our Constitution, about our founders and how it's and even blacks, whites, misguided people in terms of what the Constitution was. Before our nation was established, I think 7 out of 9 of the states were against slavery. We're not founded on slavery. America wasn't founded on. Now, there's issues that happened, but it's the way they teach. The way they teach to separate and to create a certain kind of agitprop. That's the problem that I see. And that's what we have to get to beyond and to the root of. And people like Bruce LeVell can probably explain this in a way that, because it's about, for me, uniting us, not separating us, being able to tell the stories, but not killing the American spirit. Not killing the American spirit. That's wrong. America was founded with God-given principles. Men have been perhaps corrupted or whatever. Till today, the corruption goes on in a big way. But it's that shining city on a hill. And we've got to protect it. And we can keep it shining if we come together. Yes, there are issues, and I'm sure people say, well, and we've seen them. There are institutional problems. They say systemic racism. There's systemic problems in our society. When you think about how the crimes, and I talk about Chicago, they talk about how the coverage on this Gabby Petita, I'm not saying her name correctly, but the immense coverage on that, which we should all be concerned about. But why isn't there coverage every week on the violence in Chicago? Why aren't we teaching? Why isn't Hollywood talking about that? Why aren't we looking at the faces of people that have been shot, that have been killed, that have been victimized, all throughout the cities? Those are the faces and the people we should be talking about, not just the George Floyds and the and other characters, other people that have had a bad incident with the police, but this crime in the inner cities, the fatigue of the families and men and drug addiction. This is what we should be healing. This is what we should be trying to unify against, not making the police our enemy so more havoc can happen. Yes, there needs to be changes. So stay tuned, because we're going to have Bruce LeVell. I wonder, has he Skyped at all? Or no. Yes, we're good. Okay, Bruce is ready. So the minute we come back, we're going to put Bruce on, and we'll have him for as long as he wants to hang. And we'll have things to discuss. So, dear friends, okay. You have Bruce, right? Okay, good. What do we have? We have 60 seconds. All right, so just stay tuned, and I want to thank again those new affiliates in New Mexico and in KIKO in Arizona. Stay with us. And I think you'll be enlightened. You may start thinking of a few things differently. And we have to keep open-minded. And we don't need the rhetoric of a Maxine Waters or an Al Sharpton. And again, it's the human heart. And I encourage you, watch that documentary about Muhammad Ali, Ken Burns. It's quite stirring. My wife, who's from Estonia, didn't know much about Ali, and she watched it with me. And she was in tears. And the courage of that man. Davi, back with Bruce LeVell in a minute.
I'm Al Simon, 91 years young. I created Balance 7 20 years ago. At 67, I went to see the doctor for the first time in my life and found out that I had medical problems. He told me that was normal for my age. I don't believe God intended us to be sick and old. I decided to find something to bring my health back. For 10 years, I studied pH and how important it is to the human system. Balance 7 gave me back what I lost by getting older. I no longer get out of bed with a joint discomfort. Balance 7 can do for you what it has done for me and many others. In 3 days' time, you will feel more energy, less joint discomfort, and clarity of thinking. No doctor or hospital can do what Balance 7 can do for you. Balance 7 is the key to unlocking the healthy immune system. Bring your body back to balance. Order now. Receive free shipping with the code word AL. Go to balance7.com. That's balance7.com. Order now and get your free shipping and a free gift with your order. Go to balance7.com. Use the code word AL.
Do you want to fly somewhere, anywhere in the world? Smart travelers call myflightsearch.com for the best deals on flight tickets. Going to Manila, Bangkok, London, how about Singapore? Call myflightsearch.com for the lowest flight tickets available. What about a local vacation? Let's say you want to fly to Vegas, Orlando, Miami, Los Angeles, or Denver. Pick up the phone and call myflightsearch.com right now. We have exclusive deals that you can't find anywhere else. The only way you can get these low airline prices is by calling us. We have so many low prices available, we can't possibly tell them to you right here and now. If you're flying somewhere anytime in the next 6 months and you want the lowest airline ticket prices anywhere, you owe it to yourself to save a ton of money. So pick up your cell phone and call myflightsearch.com right now.
Call 800-445-3166. 800-445-3166. That's 800-445-3166. Call now. 800-445-3166.
What are you going to do with your old car? You can try selling it, you could junk it, or you could donate it to Heritage for the Blind. Your car will be towed away for free, and your donation is tax deductible. Just call 1-800-785-9618. Heritage for the Blind accepts cars, vans, trucks, and boats. It doesn't matter if your vehicle runs or not. It will be towed away for free, and you'll be supporting those that need help. Heritage for the Blind is a nonprofit organization that helps the visually impaired live fuller lives. Call right now to donate your car, and as a special thank you for calling, you'll receive a free 3-day vacation voucher to many exciting locations. Call Heritage for the Blind right now, 1-800-785-9618. Donating is easy, and your vehicle is towed away for free. Plus, you'll get a free vacation voucher. Call now, 1-800-785-9618. That's 1-800-785-9618.
Robert Davi.
want you to know this is nothing personal. It's purely business.
Hoping that Bruce can hear me, and I can hear Bruce. Hello? Bruce, do you hear me? We're on with Bruce LeVell. Hello? I'm hearing the music. I'm not hearing Bruce.
What about now?
I got you, Bruce.
You got me?
I got you.
All right.
All right. And are we seeing Bruce? He's going to be working on the split screen as we talk, so let's just have our conversation, Bruce.
Let's roll.
I'm on with Bruce LeVell. Bruce, I think did you hear the lead-in?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right,
and of course the fabulous commercials.
Right, on and on. There's Bruce LeVell on Skype, and you'll work on the split screen. All right, so let people watch you, Bruce, while we're on here. So let's talk about, first let's get over the reins, because we spoke about that last night a little bit. And
right. Border Patrol horse, correct?
Yeah, the Border Patrol horse.
Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting. I addressed that again today a couple of times, some other folks in parts of the country. It's just like I explained to them, at some point, you have to worry about, you have to be more sympathetic when you see things and not be so quick to jump to judgment as it relates to, what you see immediately and what you try to justify. And, I remind a lot of my conservative brothers and sisters and liberals, I say, I live in the South. We're still healing from, a generation of coming out of that era in the 50s and 60s. Robert, you're old enough to know, you have friends and friends. My family marched in the civil rights movement and understand that horses were used to corral, and as you might use that word respectfully, during the civil rights movement for black, protesters, and even further back, as far as into the dark history of slavery. And so I warn people, it's like, regardless if it's a reins that you're using on a horse or a whip or whatever, they still, it's just, anything can be used in any way. No matter the semantics were used, was it this, was it that? The bottom line is just trying to get everyone from a sympathetic part of what you see and where the emotions come from. And all the other investigations will work out in themselves, what happened and all that, but it's just the actual imagery of where we came from is what I try to remind people from a sympathetic point of view.
Right, and also, look, we don't have to hold punches back because people need to hear the raw truth on things and perspectives on things. And I know that you're a conservative, and I know that I know your beliefs, and I know you love this nation, and I know you had your past struggles, your families did, and and so as a successful conservative black man, being able to be sensitized, because I got a little irritated at Maxine Waters.
Right.
And then Al Sharpton going down there. And what I got angry at, to be honest with you, is why aren't they in Chicago every weekend, Bruce? That gets me so upset. Why aren't they there in Chicago every weekend, looking at things and saying the same stuff, walking the streets, going, what are we doing, brothers and sisters? How are we letting this happen, Mrs. Lightfoot? And here's a guy in the water on a horse, and I know the optics are ugly, and or can be interpreted as ugly. I don't know that guy's heart. I'm not going to say what that guy's heart was, but I understand from your point of view the hurting and how it was used in the past, and so that brings back a frightening image in the past.
Exactly.
And that's an honest reaction, but. Why wasn't it, see, the way you say it?
Yeah.
People can hear
once
it.
Again, in reference to Maxine Waters, y'all know this has always been a way to get a reaction, to get emotions, and emotions sells, unfortunately. And you saw Al Sharpton going down there, and I know for a fact he probably pretty much said, "Listen, Joe Biden, if you don't fund my coalition, then we're going to, basically turn against you." And so the pandering starts in itself because, unfortunately, you have organizations like that, Maxine, who play on the sympathy, they play on the reactions, the emotions, in order to profit from. I hate to say it that way, but, in light of that, Robert, I am optimistic about where we're heading. And the reason why I'm optimistic, especially on this particular subject, is the fact that, you take a Donald J. Trump, who broke the record in the largest black turnout in the history of a Republican president candidate per se since Nixon. He had 13% of the black vote, 41% Latino, the highest Asian vote turnout. And as well as I do, it would have been much higher had the entire, quote, news outlets were being fair. And we had to fight big tech, and of course CNN, MSDNC, and all these were against us. So imagine where it would have really turned out. So that's my optimism. I think a lot of America, it looks a little grim, but I think a lot of people scratching their head and like, wait a minute, especially black America. You saw the polls in the last week where Trump is surging, or probably any Republican for that, based on what the Joe Biden administration is doing. So, I'm still going to put the light at the end of the tunnel, Brother Robert, in terms of the optimism where we can go and where we were at. I mean, come on, a Republican candidate, Romney and John McCain, could get him barely scratch 5 and 6%.
Yeah, no, that's wonderful.
So I'm optimistic as it relates to people scratching their head and saying, you know what, something's not right here. Outside of all the old Maxine Waters rhetoric and Al Sharpton's rhetoric and all the other folks who played on sympathy for years, I think I'm still optimistic on it, brother. I'm sorry, all the listeners I know. I try not to entertain, as my mother would always say, honey, stop letting the enemy rent space in your heart and mind, and look at the positives, and look how far we've gone. Look how far we're going.
Absolutely, and that's what I'm saying. But that's where we need to have more. Yeah. Speaking out against the Maxine Waters and what because even now Sharpton, he's talking and somebody's bunch of people are heckling him, and he had to then say he couldn't help himself. He goes and those Trump supporters there, he wanted to blame it on the Trump supporters as if people aren't. I've spoken to so many people of color, from Afghanistan to Iran to Iraq to Israel to Russia to all different immigrants. They don't like what's happening at the border.
No,
Bruce, they hate what's happening at the border. They're not necessarily Trump supporters, or they want to. He wants to say, we got more white supremacists over there, and that's where we got to find a balance. So it's not and I don't see that, and I agree with you in terms of the positivity.
Yeah.
But I feel that needs to be even a more crucial, and I know you've been fighting for diversity your whole life. I know you've traveled the world. I know a lot about what you've done and how you understand. And it's just frustrating. We're going to come back. We've got to take another break. Go have a drink of coffee or something while we have these commercials. But we'll be back. Can you stay around, Bruce?
Oh, yeah.
We're on with Bruce LeVell. And stay tuned, please.
Have you heard about Vine to Bar chocolate? It's the winemaker's chocolate, the world's first chocolate made with well-vined Chardonnay marc. From the beautiful coastal vineyards of North America, gently pressed grapes are harvested after juicing, dried and finely milled and carefully blended into the finest dark chocolate. The Chardonnay marc contains highly beneficial grape nutrients, flavanols, and has a natural sweetness that flavors the luscious dark chocolate. Mouth-watering, flavorful, delectable dark chocolate goodness with Chardonnay sweetness and beneficial nutrients. And it's alcohol-free, too. It's Vine to Bar chocolate. Order some today at vinetobar.com. That's VINETOBAR.com. Cold shipped to your door, it's Vine to Bar. Vine to Bar chocolate. Visit us at vinetobar.com.
Do you want to fly somewhere, anywhere in the world? Smart travelers call myflightsearch.com for the best deals on flight tickets. Going to Manila, Bangkok, London, how about Singapore? Call myflightsearch.com for the lowest flight tickets available. What about a local vacation? Let's say you want to fly to Vegas, Orlando, Miami, Los Angeles, or Denver. Pick up the phone and call myflightsearch.com right now. We have exclusive deals that you can't find anywhere else. The only way you can get these low airline prices is by calling us. We have so many low prices available, we can't possibly tell them to you right here and now. If you're flying somewhere anytime in the next 6 months and you want the lowest airline ticket prices anywhere, you owe it to yourself to save a ton of money. So pick up your cell phone and call myflightsearch.com right now.
Call 800-445-3166. 800-445-3166. That's 800-445-3166. Call now. 800-445-3166.
If Ernest Hemingway was alive today, would he say this to you?
Shakespeare, Mark Twain, Edgar Allan Poe, all great writers. And after reading your book, I simply must add you to the list.
Wait, you don't have a book yet. So make a free call to Page Publishing. Their expert staff can help you turn your book idea into a real book, a masterpiece that could someday make the bestseller list in hard copy and digitally all across the world. Page Publishing can help you completely take your idea for a book, write it, and publish it. So if you want to join the ranks of some of the most famous authors in the world, call now for a free information kit. Turn your book idea into publishing gold. Make a free call right now to Page Publishing.
800-378-3212. 800-378-3212. 800-378-3212. That's 800-378-3212.
It's been tough talking to my doctor about constipation with belly pain, discomfort, and bloating. I finally laid all my symptoms out there and how they keep coming back. She said I may have irritable bowel syndrome with constipation, or IBS-C. We agreed it's time to try something different.
Linzess, or linaclotide, is a prescription medicine that treats IBS-C in adults. Linzess works differently than laxatives. It lets you have more frequent and complete bowel movements and helps relieve overall abdominal symptoms, belly pain, discomfort, and bloating. These symptoms were studied in combination, not individually. Do not give Linzess to children less than 6, and it should not be given to children 6 to less than 18. It may harm them. Do not take Linzess if you have a bowel blockage. Get immediate help if you develop unusual or severe stomach pain, especially with bloody or black stools. The most common side effect is diarrhea, sometimes severe. If it's severe, stop taking Linzess and call your doctor right away. Other side effects include gas, stomach area pain, and swelling. There could be more to your story with IBS-C. Visit a doctor in person or online. Say yes to Linzess. Learn more at linzess.com or call 1-800-LINZESS. Sponsored by Abbey and Ironwood Pharmaceuticals.
The Robert Davi Show.
This is authentic. Una furtiva lagrima.
Hi guys, this is Robert. I'm on with Bruce LeVell. We've been talking about, I started my show talking about the great documentary Ken Burns did about Muhammad Ali, because it actually really puts him in such historical perspective, and also the wonderful transformation he made spiritually, coming from the Nation of Islam to being more united and more loving and wanting to unite the peoples. And Bruce LeVell let's bring Bruce on, and we've been talking about the optics of what happened in Rio,
right?
And the fear, and what it brought back. It would be like if all of a sudden there was a lynching, and it's that kind of optic. So was it that devastating back then, Bruce, being herded by horses and getting whipped? I mean, was that violent of an experience for blacks back then?
Oh yeah, of course. But here's one of the main things that people, this is something too that's let's real talk.
Real talk.
Yeah, when a lot of the Central American and Latino America, Central America, and a lot of the Latinos per se that were generally the majority of what you saw coming across the border in the beginning. And you remember Joe Biden wrote $86 million and put people up in hotels and
all over the place.
Mess.
Yeah.
When he first flooded the borders open. Then, Robert, when the dark-skinned immigrants who were trying to come across the border. Then it became, watch this, now it became really important, a disaster. It then became, well, let's get the planes and let's get them out. And then the Homeland Security Director came on immediately and says, oh, the borders are closed right now. So imagine that. Now, what I just said right there, let that kind of soak in a little bit as it relates to where was the urgency when the border's being flooded 3 months ago versus when the dark-skinned immigrants were trying to flood the border. Yeah. So you take that, Brother Robert, and you stack that on, you stack the imagery on of the man on the horse holding the reins, and you saw other video of him getting in front of the guy by the river where the bridge is down the road, which is in U.S. territory, where he has taken food or whatever to feed the family over there, but he's being denied. Now it's a sense of urgency to shut the border and let's ship these people out quick.
Well, I
now
think
you see how this all comes together and how it has the appearance of even discrimination, even in the Haitians versus the Latinos that were given all these preferential treatments. You see where I'm going with this?
Absolutely.
So this is where this comes from, brother, where it's aggravated all sides of humanitarian. And y'all know Haiti just had a massive earthquake. Matter of fact, I just got on the phone 2 weeks ago with Brother Jack Brewer, who I work with, who is a Haitian descendant. He's Haitian. Is really Jack Brewer, played in the NFL. He's over there now, back and forth. We actually got a couple of King Air planes to fly in retired Marines 3 weeks ago, brother, to help retired Marine medics, excuse me. And we needed King Air airplanes because, propeller King Airs can land on shorter landing strips, unlike Citation 2s. You know that. You've flown a lot of jets too, and planes myself. So anyway, we've been doing this. So you got a president gets killed over there. You get all the earthquake again that didn't get any play, and where was the left again, at least trying to talk about that. So you have all of this in addition to these Haitians coming across. Now it's important to shut the border down. So now, because the black dark-skinned people are trying to get over to the border now, oh my God, let's shut it down. So this is exactly what's playing out right now, brother.
Right.
Is the reason why you're seeing a lot of this type of
let me just
concern.
Yeah, just let me, because we had briefly talked about this last night, and so I was thinking about that, and it makes, look, it's how it looks. You know what I mean? But at the other point, what I think is with the Biden thing, and with the Haitians coming over, I think that there was such an uproar that he screws up Afghanistan. Right. He screws up the border that Trump had fixed, stuff that we were on the mend. His poll numbers were going down the crap, and now the optics, because to be honest with you, 12,000 Haitians, I didn't think 12,000 blacks to myself. And I think the general public didn't think that. I think there may be some people, who knows what. But I'm not so sure, and it may be exactly what you say. But I didn't think it's because they're black that you know what I mean? I thought wait a second. And you explained to me last night how there were many of them already in Central America and South America that had already migrated there. Because I said, well, how did all these people all of a sudden, instead of coming through Florida, come across this, the long way around? Where did that go? And then you had said to me, well, which I talk about that. So there've been, because I don't think people know that there were a lot of those migrant Haitians already settled in Central and South America. Is that so?
Correct. Yeah, and then a lot did come from the island of Haiti too, and they're still investigating that. And granted, we're not going to get a true answer from the Biden administration. We're going to have to rely on our trusted missionary teams, which we have missionaries in Lima and Iquitos and Colombia. My church, we're global.
And could it be?
I always said the best intel about what's going on with human rights all across the world is your missionaries.
Yes.
Watch this. And quite frankly, and I'm pivoting a little bit on this because as it relates to the Wuhan laboratory in China, I know for a fact of missionaries that are in China right now and all across this world, have said way back that this came from a laboratory. I've heard this from actual doctor missionaries and missionaries on the ground in China and Africa. And you know, Robert, you've served and helped in ministry too, and help other people. You know, your best intel are your faith-based community and your missionaries. And I've had a report that yes, there are some that were already seeking residency in South America. However, there are some that came from their neighboring country, their country of origination, which was Haiti. But regardless of where they're come from or where that, once again, it's the appearance of what the administration reacted to when the quote, once again, guys, and hear me on this for all the listeners, it's very important. When the dark skin, and I know, Robert, you don't see it that way because you've been blessed like myself to be world traveled, many friends of different cultures, break bread, so that spirit's not in you. However, if you haven't been privileged to travel that world and see and break bread all these different cultures, and you know, this is my wheelhouse, cultural reconciliation. After all, I ran the largest diversity coalition for President Trump in history, and I'm still passionately about cultural reconciliation. So one who is a privilege, who's born and raised in one particular region, never been anywhere. I mean, come on, Robert, you got people that are born and raised in states and neighborhoods that have never left the neighborhoods or anywhere their whole life.
Absolutely.
So their news is what they see. And so you have to walk people through about what you see and where some of these reactions come from. Example, the horse with the guy with the reins. Oh, that's not a whip. Well, a rein can be whipped at a horse, because I've ridden horses many a time. So that's where this comes from, and that's where this all of a sudden, and you see, listen, when you see a lot of black conservatives that come out and speak against this, and you see even crazy people like Joy Reid come out and bring that out, and everyone's kind of agreeing like, well, there it is. So you know there's something there.
Right.
So,
and at the same time,
that's really what you're seeing out there, because I think at the end of the day, Robert, is once again, knowledge is, you know, it's like Dr. King said, which my uncle marched with them back here in the South. He says, you know, men and women hate each other because they don't get to know each other.
Yes. We're going to come back, Bruce, so hang on to us. You mentioned Wuhan Lab. I just want to pick up. Over a year ago, I released, you may have read it, my 59 pages where I said it came from the Wuhan Lab. And I had many intel people from inside China and other places feed me information. And then that I put up online, and no one listened to it. And now people are saying it did come from the lab. You can still find that on Twitter somewhere if you look at...
it's not buried or deleted.
Yeah, right, or screen. We'll be back in about 10 seconds. We're on with my dear brother, Bruce LeVell, Robert Davi, back in a minute.
Hi, my name is Lily. My mom and dad used to fight about money all the time. Then one day, I heard them talking about this guy, some uncle I never knew, called Uncle Sam. Well, they say this Uncle Sam guy wanted them to pay him like $1 gazillion, and they didn't have $1 gazillion. So they called this company they heard on the radio called the Tax Doctor. And the Tax Doctor worked with Uncle Sam's people. I think they're called the IRS. And they were able to work it out so my mom and dad didn't have to pay Uncle Sam very much money at all. So now mom and dad are happy, and I'm happy too. Thanks, Tax Doctor.
If you owe $10,000 or more to the IRS or state, call now and pay less. 800-391-8713. 800-391-8713. That's 800-391-8713.
Does your current bathroom need to be updated immediately? Introducing One Day Bath and Shower Remodeling, the complete and hassle-free way to get the new bathroom of your dreams in as little as 1 day, and for as little as $199 a month. Yes, the experts at One Day Bath and Shower Remodeling will come to you anywhere in the country and show you all the customized options. Now you can have a brand new bathroom in as little as 1 day. Large or small bathrooms bathrooms. If you want a new bathtub or shower installed, we can do it in as little as 1 day. And if you call right now, you can save $750 off your remodel. We make it easy by offering you financing as low as $199 per month. Call now to schedule your free in-home consultation.
855-525-7454. 855-525-7454. That's 855-525-7454.
What are you going to do with your old car? You can try selling it, you could junk it, or you could donate it to Heritage for the Blind. Your car will be towed away for free, and your donation is tax deductible. Just call 1-800-785-9618. Heritage for the Blind accepts cars, vans, trucks, and boats. It doesn't matter if your vehicle runs or not. It will be towed away for free, and you'll be supporting those that need help. Heritage for the Blind is a nonprofit organization that helps the visually impaired live fuller lives. Call right now to donate your car, and as a special thank you for calling, you'll receive a free 3-day vacation voucher to many exciting locations. Call Heritage for the Blind right now, 1-800-785-9618. Donating is easy, and your vehicle is towed away for free. Plus, you'll get a free vacation voucher. Call now, 1-800-785-9618. That's 1-800-785-9618.
The Robert Davi Show.
Mike? You let me down, Mike. You're making me look bad. I thought we had an understanding. And all I expect is a little cooperation!
Sorry, Robert.
Hey, dear friends. This is Robert Davi. I'm on with Bruce LeVell, and we've been talking about the optics of Del Rio and Wuhan Lob, that now people realize that it is from there. You briefly mentioned that, and more about diversity, and more about where do we go? How do we help America? And my good friend and brother Bruce LeVell is on. Let me ask you a question, Bruce. What do you think Trump would have done with the Haitians?
Well, first of all, we wouldn't have been dealing with that in general, because we would have never opened the border, number one.
Yes.
We would have finished the wall. And watch this, Robert. This is something I wrote an op-ed. I'm trying to see if they're going to release it. It's very, you should say controversial, but it's always controversial if you support the president.
Yes.
President Trump, and you're Trump's friend, comes with the territory.
Right.
Is that, it's one of those things where the answer to your question is, A, he would have never opened the border. 2, as soon as that last earthquake hit, he gets on the phone. He's the type of guy gets on the phone, or he will turn attention to a disaster like that, and inspire our great Catholic churches, our great Baptist churches, our great synagogues, our great mosques, and say, hey, we have to help Haiti. A lot of times it's not so much as just like, okay, we're going to throw money at it and blah, blah, blah. Sometimes in that great, powerful leadership role is speak about something, speak about helping. For example, Iowa caucus. Remember in 2016, he kind of protested, so I ain't going to that. He sat on the phone and raised $6 million in 2 hours for our veterans. You remember that?
Yes, of course.
But there's many things that he's done that way
that they don't realize.
His celebrityism, if you want to call it that at the time, or his presidency or his candidacy.
And his care.
Turned attention, and we would have had all this mobilization going on. He'd have made it like, oh, let's help them, whatever. Biden's never used that influence to even look at Haiti.
They can't do it.
Wrong with that?
They can't do it.
So to answer your question, there's so many proactive solutions that President Trump, because I know him well, and I know exactly what he's done, because I know him. You know him, I know him very well.
You know him very well. You were in the inner sanctum there, but I want to, and you guys went to him before he ran presidency. All right? Yeah. A lot of you went and met with him, I believe. And you've known him. What is this drum beat, the beating of the drum of racism with him? Why did that take hold to some people?
Yeah.
Being racist.
You know as well as it being a celebrity, and you know how a rumor can grow wings for a while, and it just flies and flaps around. And a person like President Trump, been a celebrity for 40 years, many friends for many years. Not one person, watch this, ever came forward and ever accused him of any racially derogatory, slur or anything, Robert, in 40 plus years in the public eye, until he decided to put his name on the ballot, coming down the escalator, interrupting the establishment.
He supported Jesse Jackson's campaign for presidency. He got the NAACP award. I mean, he was Al Sharpton's friend. I mean,
the list goes on. Stuff that the public don't even know about.
Yeah.
And if you do try to put it out, they're going to deny it. Let me get real quick.
Go ahead.
30 years ago, I met him here in Atlanta. He came, and he was dating Marla Maples at the time. Marla she loves charity, and she was actually here for a fundraiser for black babies whose mom had AIDS. And, we were still in that experiment of different drugs in the AIDS era. You remember that. You had friends and actors who were affected by it, and had family. We all been touched by that horrible disease, right? He was down here with her, and they were doing a fundraiser to raise money for children who parents were born with AIDS. So that night, we were at this club called Petrus, which is the hot spot, of Atlanta, kind of like the Studio 54 of the South, And I met him there for the first time. He's a celebrity. He was cool and blah, blah. He didn't remember, of course, when I saw him again. But, there's another situation where he's been involved with something. And a lot of things you don't even hear about or know about that he's done because, it's like some things he just doesn't talk about.
Yep. He was like Sinatra in that way.
So you're absolutely right. It's interesting how this grew wings. And, it's just like, when the left or anyone doesn't like something or establishment, let me use that key word, establishment, when they disagree or something interrupts their money train, then they have to figure out, okay, how can we shape this? How can we create this narrative? Let's run the racist thing. Yeah, that's it. Let's run with that. And that's essentially where that came from.
That's what they do. But
good question.
Now, and here's another one. Larry Elder, who I've known for years.
Yep.
Nice guy, good guy. I've had dinner with him, been at different events. Always a gentleman. Very bright. Comes, and I think the recall, and there were certain issues. Now, what they did is how they campaigned against him was he was a Trump.
Yep.
And I really thought that he would have, if I was doing that campaign, and I would have had town halls, I would have put, they called him the black face of white supremacy.
Yeah.
I would have had a town hall meeting in all the black communities, in Compton, all the difficult areas where the black community is. And I would have entered with whiteface on. A black man in whiteface. And I would have had a town hall meeting and then taken it off. And, in other words, shocked, because 80% of the brothers and sisters voted for the privileged white guy, Gavin Newsom, not to get into, race and color and everything else. But I don't understand how could that happen? Here's a brother who's running, who obviously is going to be good for the community.
Well, there's two ways the way I look at it. I know Brother Larry, too. Let me give you two parts of this. Number one.
I want your perspective.
To me, he won. I'm going to tell you how. Remember, there were 46.
And he got most.
He got, number one. He was running against former Mayor Faulkner of San Diego.
Yeah, John Cox, who ran several times.
There was a couple of congressional, former Congress people. He had some real top-tier folks in that race.
Yes.
And he prevailed number one. So, Robert, watch this. To me, he won because out of all the brown Americans who look like me, even the ones that were Democrats or independents or conservatives, looked up and said, wow, look at that. I can do that. You see where I'm going with that?
I hope so.
Well, yeah, because think about it. The other part of this is that, okay, so now we have this Larry Elder. He's pushed down the doors, and I say this to, and if you have some of your black conservatives watching and watching me now, we're talking about this. Some of us, and I've said this before, will have to lay down on the sword in order to open the doors for the next folks who will actually prevail, so where we can put aside what difference does it make what color they are, and then we can get back into being programmed into following the policy. Now, the reason why, to answer number two part of this, why you see blacks voted for the, as you call it, the privileged white guy, Governor Newsom, is the fact that we call this a generational curse of voting. Well, my mom did it and my dad did it. And early in our segment, we talked about if you're born and raised in a particular community, some people have never left that community. Some people in black communities or even Latino communities, that's all they've ever known. They've never broke bread with our Italian brothers.
I understand that, but my frustration is, and we're talking about, we opened with the Muhammad Ali documentary.
Right.
And for 60 years, civil rights movement, Martin Luther King, the progress that's been made, stuff that still has issues, but for 60 years, the Democrats have had a stranglehold on the narrative in education. And when you have California, where a black boy can't read, can't have standards, the community has to wake up and say to themselves, what are we doing wrong? And you need a strong voice. You need a strong voice to say, what are you doing? If you are somebody, then act like it. Don't let this party put you back on the plantation for years, because that's what you are. We got 50%. I mean, the staggering statistics of what's happening in the black communities, Bruce. It really affects. I wish I was black, I swear, because I know.
You are, brother.
I know. But I mean, I wish I was accepted so my voice would be accepted in the community to say, wake up, what's going on? How can you keep doing this? You know, that's what I mean by that, you know, because they're going to look at me and go, you know, but give me, because we have to get off. But this is great.
Hey.
Listen, Bruce, I got to leave to direct the film. I'm hoping that maybe you can, I'll talk to you later about it. But it'd be great to have you sit in for me while I'm gone some of the times or most of the times.
Yeah. Hey, I'll even take a little step further. I want to be a key grip in your production.
That's in Serbia. That's
one small part in the cafe. Yeah.
Thanks, brother. So I mean, do you have a frustration with that too? I mean,
yeah, absolutely. But here comes the light, brother.
Give me the light. Give me the light.
You know as well as I do, in our families, we have generational curses of alcoholism, chemical addictions, etc. And you know as well as I do, the only antidote to break the generational curse is to bring back the faith-based, as in my house, I serve the Lord. We bring the Lord back in our house.
Absolutely.
And let that be the light. So no matter what darkness they throw, you know what? I serve a higher God. I got this. We've come a long way. Robert, my brother, I say we've come a long way because a black man and a white woman, they can walk down the street if they love each other. When in our generation before that, you wouldn't dare do that. So I'm still optimistic that we're going to get better through this.
Well, I didn't mind that Sammy Davis was with Mae Brett. I would have let him come to the inauguration of a Democratic president, and they kept him out. Bruce, we gotta.
I know, bro.
God bless you. Great.
Thank you, man. Thanks for having me.
I love you, and I'll be talking to you soon.
All right, thanks.
That's Bruce LeVell, everyone. Follow him. He's a great American, a wonderful human being, and a brother of mine. And I hope you hear more from him while I'm away. I'll try to check in now and then. I love all of you. And let's unite this nation. Let's unite the nation. God bless. Robert Davi.
Are you tired of your favorite talk show sounding like this? What if you can hear your favorite talk shows in crystal
clear, high-definition sound? Well, with CRN Digital Talk Radio, 7 channels of high-definition radio, you can now hear all your favorite hosts like you've never heard them before, in true CRN high-definition audio. The difference is amazing. Catch your favorite political hosts like Dennis Prager, Michael Medved, Tom Hartman, Stephanie Miller, Larry Elder, Sebastian Gorka, Charlie Kirk, and more. Fred Dreyer on sports, entertainment and lifestyle programming like The Lounge, The What's Cooking Show, The What's Cooking on Wine Show, all in true CRN high-definition audio. Sports, business, entertainment, travel, food, wine, politics, there's something for everyone on CRN, and it's all available in CRN high definition.